back in the woods.
Morning guys, Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. We're out here at a small lake out here not too far from where I live. I thought what I'd do this morning is, in the spirit of Nessmuk, is do a little bit of stealth fishing. And what that means is we're going to get some fishing tackle out of our backpack, and Nessmuk was a big time fisherman. He liked to tramp around the woods and fish a lot. And we're going to ease up the bank, and we're going to try to fish up the bank as we go so that we're not spooking the fish off the bank. You have to understand that if you just walk down to the bank from the woods, those fish can see those shadows and things like that, and it'll spook them off the bank. So the key to this is to fish up the bank as we go so that we're not spooking the fish. That way, as we walk up, we'll have already fished that area. So we're going to get our fishing stuff out here. I've got a little miniature fishing kit with me today, as far as, you know, I've got a small rod and reel with me. I've got a St. Croix rod, a small spinning reel. I've got some tackle with me, as well as a fly reel. And I'll show you that stuff in just a minute, and then we're going to walk through here and see if we can catch some fish. Stay with me. Okay, we're talking about resources on the water's edge here. I'm walking down the bank, doing a little stealth fishing up the bank here. And you can see there's a big frog laying right here in a mud pocket, trying to get out of the sun, or trying to get into the sun, one of the two, to warm himself up this morning, or cool himself down in the mud, one of the two. But that is a feast waiting to happen if we can catch him. And you can see just exactly how easy that was. Catch that frog. There's an easy meal right there, guys. An easy meal. Just walking down the bank on the water's edge. Okay, there's a fish. Ain't a very big one. He's a fish. I'd like to have something a little bigger than that, but if I had to, I'd put him in the pan just as easy as anything else. Okay guys, this is another quick little easy lesson while we're out here. There are hickory nuts, and I got to get myself out of the shadow here, or get my shadow out of everything so you can see it. There we go. You can see those hickory nuts on the ground, and they're in the water as well. But there's a log that runs up the bank right here, if I can get myself out of the shadow so you can see it. And this log is just littered with chews from hickory nuts, and the chewed up hickory nuts are all over the ground as well. See if I can get you a good kind of close up of one right here that's just been gnawed to pieces. See if I can get this in the camera for you so you can see it. Okay. On the water's edge. You know, this is a perfect place to trap right here. You've got an open log that obviously they're sitting on top of and chewing. There's a lot of chews on top of this log. You can see right there where they've just been sitting here and eating it up. Probably squirrels, things like that. But you could definitely come out here, trap those dudes up, go back to camp, and let the traps work for you. Just another thing you can do along the water's edge. Remember, the mammals have to come here too. They get thirsty just like we do. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about some of the lures that I'm using to fish with. I carry a small box, just a plain old double-sided box, and this is all you really need to catch all the fish that you can stand. I mean, you'll be able to catch a lot of small fish this way, and you'll be able to catch a few big ones too, and you'll be able to fill your pan up. Ultralight spinning reel combination of some kind. You know, I choose St. Croix and Shimano because I trust them. Some of the other reels out there, collapsible type pen reels and things like that, they're okay, but I don't think they're bulletproof, and I like bulletproof. So anyway, with that said, let's talk about these lures real quick. I carry one whole tray of this thing. Is nothing but inline spinner baits. Rooster tails, blue fox, meps. Those are the baits that I trust. Those will usually put fish, you know, on the stringer when nothing else will. And natural color ones like this crayfish color or this brown speckled color with the red on it is really, really good. It's got some white on it too. I like that. There's another similar color blue fox here. And then there's a small red only meps here, and red's another color that I like. On just about every lure I throw has got red on it. Here's a chartreuse color meps with yellow on the spinner. and it's got red on it again here and here. And that's a number 1 MEPS. These are number 2s. This one's the same color. It's got the, I'm sorry, this one's got the chartreuse coloring on the spinner itself, and chartreuse and black on the back. And then same thing with this number 2. It's another identical bait to that one. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Now, the one that I've been using today is a MEPS as well, and it is a number 1 that has some yellow, some chartreuse on it, and then it has a yellow spinner on it as well. Now, what you want to think about with these inline spinner baits is the best colors really to carry for versatility that will always catch fish in some combination is yellows, whites, chartreuse, and then you need to think about the actual color of the spinner as well. In dull colored water, you want that gold colored spinner. In bright clear water, you want a silver colored spinner. Those seem to be more effective for me depending on water clarity. Now on the other side of this thing, I just keep a couple very simple things as well just to change things up. I've got a couple small hula poppers here and like a frog combination that I can use to catch fish on top water. I've got a couple small crankbaits here that run very shallow. They're crayfish. Again, they have the red on them. I really like that red and orange combination with the red hooks. I've got a couple strike indicators, some hooks and sinkers here, a couple rubber bands for tying off strike indicators, and then a few beads just to dress things up a little bit if I need to, depending on what my setup is. I've got glow in the dark. I also have some chartreuse in here, and I'm going to add some red as well. Now I generally have at least one white bait on this side that's solid white, and I've got a lot of white on this bait, but I generally have one that's solid white over here. I think Iris has got that on her rod right now, but I would recommend that you get 2 of everything. That way, in case you lose one or one gets damaged or hung up or something, you have a second bait because it may be the one that the fish are hitting on all day long. But with this small box and this combination, you can catch a lot of fish. And like I said, that Berkeley Gulp style bait works really, really well if you're just fishing for panfish on a hook. But there's a lot of stuff around here. I've seen inchworms today out here. I've seen a few grasshoppers out here today. I'm sure if I turned over some logs, there's plenty of grubs and worms and things like that that you can use for fishing bait as well. So with that combination of just a light spinning rod that fits into a case about the length of a bedroll on your pack, and then you can put your spinning reel in a soft bag of some kind to protect it, you can catch a lot of fish. And Nesmith was a big fisherman. He loved to fish. I love to fish, so I like following his tradition and just tramping around the woods and tramping around the edge of the lake with a fishing rod. You know, generally speaking, casting linear along the bank is going to yield more fish for you because you can fan cast from close to shore, further out and further out, and you're going to cover the length of that bank. If you're just standing in one spot on the bank and you're casting out toward the middle, you can fan cast that way too, but your chances of catching fish are better linear casting along the bank line where the fish are more likely to hang out. And the spot that I'm fishing right now, I can see a drop off, a steady step drop off right here where it goes, you know, from a couple steps off the bank to at least over your head for sure as far as I can see without polarized glasses on. So that tells me that there's some riprap or some rock steps in here that there may be structure enough for fish to be hanging on. So I'm kind of fishing that close to the bank and then a little further out, a little further out, a little further out, and then I'll go out toward the middle and then I'll come back in again one more time before I leave this area. You really have to cover areas when you're trying to catch fish, and you have to cover them really, really well. It's kind of like hunting and trapping. You've got to make sure that you saturate the area enough to get what's there. If you just throw a couple casts and you move on, you might have missed a fish that was over, you know, another 10 or 15 feet on a piece of structure that you couldn't see because it was underwater, and you just walked right past them. So you can tell by looking at what the landscape's doing, what the water is going to do, or what the depth of the water is going to do sometimes. And I can tell by these rock faces out here that this is, you know, a lot of ledges and drop-offs in this area that I'm at right now. So I'm trying to take advantage of those drop-offs. Not having a lot of luck right now, but it's getting late in the day too, so that makes a big difference. Guys, I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. I hope you enjoyed this short segment of On the Water's Edge. We talked a little bit about fishing strategy. We talked a little bit about lures. We talked a little bit about my ultralight setup that I use for pan fishing and bass fishing and things like that along the water's edge when I'm just tramping on the bank, as Nesmic would say. I appreciate you guys joining me for this video. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your views. I thank you for everything that you do for me, my family, and my school. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can.